So I have been hiking in this area for a heck of a lot of years. And before we get started, I just wanted to say that this covers mostly national forest and national parks. I don't have too much from right here in the Morton Mossy Rock area. For great information, I tend to go to the Washington Trails site. They have wonderful descriptions of trails. They have people who are writing in after they go on a trail to let you know what the trail conditions are. So if you get a chance to check out Washington Trails, it can be a really great place to look for wonderful hikes. So I've divided this up into several different sections. This is Mount St. Helens. If you go out to Windy Ridge, there's several hikes that go off from that area. This is the Lewitt Falls hike. It goes out across the Pumice Plain. Right now there's a bit of a problem with the road dropping down to the Pumice Plain. They're working on it during the week, so this is now a weekend hike. This is a 9.2 miles trip, and if you hit it during flower season, which is in June and July, it is absolutely fantastic. Takes you out to Lewitt Falls. And on the way back, when you look across Spirit Lake, if you hit it right with the flowers, it's quite a lovely view back into the Mount Margaret backcountry. One of the fun things has been watching as the plants came back. When we first started hiking out there were no flowers. And then the paintbrush started showing up after the lupin had been pretty well established, and now there's paintbrush everywhere. So it's a fun thing to kind of follow along with. This is also out in the Mount St. Helens area. This is the Norway Pass trailhead to Mount Margaret. It is partly through the blast area. It's got absolutely fantastic fall colors. This is a summertime picture, obviously. You look back across Spirit Lake to Mount St. Helens. There's really quite a lot of goat herd out there now. They've come back nicely. And the nice thing about this area is it opens up earlier than the high country in other parts of the area because it is a lot lower, but it has that high country look. So this is from Mount Margaret looking at Mount St. Helens across Spirit Lake. This is a view down into the to Boot Lake, which is off limits, but it's in the lakes area below the Mount Whittier Trail. And this is the Mount Whittier Trail, and it's somewhere that I will never, ever, ever go again. It is very scary. It was for me at any rate. I call it the Trail of Tears. So if you're up for a challenge, you might want to do this, but be really careful. People have died out there. Plains of Abraham. This is one of my very favorite hikes. It's just the best flower hike ever. So that is part of the trail there. This is going up the sand ladders, which helps you keep some traction on the pumice. This is hiking along the top where the wildflowers are just kind of like everywhere. And if you'll notice, there's a person behind us there. They're actually on a bicycle. So this is a bicycle route, which is interesting to dodge bicycles. And I put this picture in so that you could see there's the road that comes down from Windy Ridge. So you'll be walking back up that at the end of any of these hikes. One of the beautiful flower clusters that you'll find out there. So the Plains of Abraham does go up on the Lewitt Trail and goes over Windy Pass. And this is going up over Windy Pass. You can see the trail down below. It's pretty steep, a little treacherous. But boy, if you hit it at flower season, it is something else. Now we moved on to Mount Adams. So this is the Killen Creek or Divide Camp Trail. There's two trails that go up, they parallel each other. This is actually the Divide Camp Trail. If you go up the Killing Creek Trail, you get into an area of lots of little lakes. This one we call the Bathtub. You can see Mount Rainier behind out there. And if you go up a bit farther, up to the high camp area, and up a bit above that, you start running into some of the little melt ponds. Looking straight up the Mount Adams Glacier, I will point out that people ski these routes up there, so the routes on both sides of the glacier get skied quite a bit. And again, looking back up through a good loop and bloom year. And looking at Mount Rainier. So this is a bit higher up on the mountain where you're almost into, where the pumice has just been dumped up there in the big mountains. This is what it looks like when the sun goes down. We found this one year up there. Seattle Boy Scout Troop 65 made a summit in August 8th of 1934. And that has disappeared. I don't know where it's gone. One thing about Mount Adams during flower season, you will have bugs. This is the appropriate wear. Goat Rocks. Wow, such a beautiful place and so incredibly traveled. It's hard to find parking up there at this point. Goat Rocks, beautiful. This is in Sispus Basin, which is a little bit south on the PCT from the Goat. It's actually part of the Goat Rocks, but it's south from the Snowgrass Flat area. One of my favorite flowers, the monkey flower. Then they bloom riotously up there. They're in bloom right now. And this is at the Snowgrass Junction looking to the north, so that would be Old Snowy, the farthest peak on the left. And that's looking south back towards Mount Adams. And you can see why this is one of the favorite places in the area. So this is the sign for the Pacific Crest Trail. They rebuilt it and they put it along this interesting ridge here. You're looking down, that's a valley that goes down to Packwood Lake below and then Mount Rainier. And one night we were camped up there and it was just a thunderstorm came through, and then we had this beautiful rainbow come out with a setting light. And you think you're all alone, and when that happened, there were sounds of cheers and whistles all around us. Not so alone. This is the Goat Lake Loop, which is, you can go up from the Snowgrass Trailhead and loop around and come back down Goat Ridge and take in Goat Lake. This is Goat Lake when there's snow on it. And this is Goat Lake when the snow is starting to melt. And really it changes every year. I thought that it was getting worse every year, but again, it snowed back up on us. So. And this is Goat Lake when the snow is gone. And you always see goats here too, strangely enough. This is a hike along the trail from Goat Lake heading toward Goat Ridge. Looking back at Old Snowy in the distance. And that cloud up in the back there is a fire on the other side. You get the rivers, the monkey flowers. Okay, moving down into the forest here, Tongue Mountain. Oh, by the way, Jessica has a list of these hikes if you people would like a handout. She has those. Tongue Mountain is pretty easy hike. It takes you up to a spectacular viewpoint though, so this is looking towards Mount Adams. That's looking at the other side of Tongue Mountain, which I very rarely have gone up, but you can see the trail there. Mount Rainier out behind. That's me on one of the few times that I made it to the top. And always the teeny tiny toads of Tongue Mountain. So they're about an inch and a half long, and they're You find them pretty frequently there. We find them usually as they're heading up to the very top. I don't know what they do up there. Gorgeous flowers. Nice butterflies. And the twin trail to this is the Juniper Ridge Trail. Starts at the same trailhead as the Tongue Mountain one up the 29 road out by Cispa Center. And it goes to the south. Again, looking toward Mount Rainier. And now everybody's favorite place, Packwood Lake. An easy hike out of Packwood. Well, it's about 9 or 10 miles, but it's relatively flat, and there's 2 ways you can go. And sometimes you have friends who swim out to the little island. Up above Packwood Lake is Lost Lake, so that would be in, we actually did an out and back trip up there. We rode our bikes into Packwood Lake and then hiked up to Lost Lake and back down and rode our bikes back out. The road into Packwood Lake can be ridden on bicycles or motorcycles or four-wheelers. The trail is through wilderness and it's for hiking only. Or horses, sorry. And the horses open the trail up. We must not forget the horses. So, Tatoosh is right, well, it's above Packwood. It's right above Packwood. It just takes a while to get out to it. The flowers up there, if you hit it right, can be just absolutely stunning. Tiger lilies. Tatoosh Lake, the upper lake. Mount Rainier behind it. Natchez Peak Loop, I was up there this week. The flowers are out. Not right here, they're all gone right here, but in places where the snow hung in, there's beautiful flower display. On a clear day, it's pretty amazing. And sometimes you hit the bear grass bloom. This is down at Dewey Lakes, which is just off the Natchez Peak Trail. Drops down, it's part of the PCT. Pretty easy hike. A lot of people take kids there for their first overnight. This is another one of my very favorite flowers. This is called the elephant head. Crystal Lakes. This hike takes off from the east side of Mount Rainier and hikes up to Crystal Lakes, or you can go in from Chinook Pass and drop down to it. This is down at the upper Crystal Lake looking back up. We drop down from the pass on the left-hand side there. And there's a little arch up there. So this one's a bit farther of a drive, but it's one of our favorite hikes. It's over in Waterworks Canyon, which is on the east side. It's right where 410 and 12 come together. And it has spectacular fall color. It has beautiful spring flowers. And if you go a little bit too late, it has rattlesnakes. It's kind of interesting because it's a super steep trail or a trail that's relatively steep, or it's wander out through the hillsides. And of course, we were always worried about seeing the snake. Oh gosh, there'll be a snake, there'll be a snake. Oh no, there's a snake! But my snake had feet. So, not a snake. Lots of bighorn sheep over there, although they've had some trouble with some diseases lately, but it's pretty fun to see the sheep. And the fall color, the aspen, the cottonwood, the dogwood, they're pretty amazing. And if you want to see aspen, it's a good place. It's not too far away. And there's the aspen. Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier, what a treasure we have in our backyard. Oh my gosh. This is just a paradise. This is the flowers of paradise. Bench and Snow Lake, one of the easiest hikes up there. Just a quick little hike in, a lot of up and down, but doesn't take long, and it takes you to some spectacular view. In the fall colors are just wonderful there. This is a photo across Bench Lake, looking back at Mount Rainier. This is at Snow Lake, looking at Unicorn. And this is people having fun with the snow at Snow Lake. Pinnacle and Plummer. This hike starts right at Reflection Lakes, goes up the hill, up, really up, very up. You can see the trail going up down in the left-hand corner there. It does have some exposure on it. If you go on up to Pinnacle, which is the peak right there, the exposure gets a lot more. And this is looking at the fall color running out across the valley there. And it can have gorgeous flowers too. Lakes Trail to Mazama Ridge. This is again one of my favorite earlier hikes because the flowers come out a bit earlier here, and you're heading up. You end up a little bit of a paradise. Easily walked by small children. And if you hit the flowers, they are pretty spectacular. I haven't seen them quite this good since this picture. And one of the fun places up there is Faraway Rock, where you can stand and look straight down at Lake Louise underneath you. Paradise, the Skyline Trail, and again, one of the most popular trails right now in the world, I think. There were millions of people on it last week. But there's a good reason why they were there. Again, the fall color up there is wonderful. This is standing in the parking lot taking a picture. And this is where two trails come together, and it seems like that little chipmunk is always right there. And of course, there's always the marmots and the grouse. And by the way, if you hear something going, woo, 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 it's not a bear, it's a grouse. But there are bears too. Last year we were up there, and there was a mama bear with two babies, and she was browsing through the bushes, and there was snow on the ground, and the babies were running up and sliding down the snow, running up and sliding down the snow. However, bears are not my favorite anymore because one of them has moved into our neighborhood. The East Side Trail, it's kind of like an overlooked gem because it runs from Ohan-Bakosh Campground up the east side of Mount Rainier all the way to Chinook Pass, and different parts of it open up snow-free at different times, but it's just a gorgeous trail. Of course, Silver Falls. Here's a better picture of it. And this is one of the falls on the trail. This is Ohan-Bakosh Falls, Stafford Falls. Don't even know what the name of this one is. Lots of pretty forest flowers as you're going up this trail. Summerland, another very popular one. If you want a parking place at Summerland, you need to be there early, especially on a weekend. quite a beautiful place to be. We're now heading up toward Panhandle Gap above Summerland. Glacier Basin is the next trail up from Summerland, and it's the main climbing route for that side of the mountain. And it's called Glacier Basin maybe because of all the glacier lilies, or maybe because of the glaciers. Again, beautiful flowers. You might have noticed that there's kind of a theme in my pictures. Second Barrows up at sunrise. It's definitely worth trotting out to. It's quite a gorgeous view. And there's also a trail that drops down, and you can see it here. Ha! It drops down and drops back down to the bottom and hooks up with the trail out of White River Campground. And that's a pretty fun round trip. And as always, goats. Goats, goats. I don't think I've ever been up there and not seen goats. Berkeley Park, another very favorite. It has a fantastic flower bloom. It comes in a little bit earlier than other parts because it's a bit lower. And again, this was a spectacular bloom year. This year wasn't quite this good. He is standing on the trail. And more goats. And one of my favorite Mormons. And these two Mormons were fighting when we came across them on the trail. And this bear was grazing between where our trail up from Berkeley Park met with the First Burroughs Trail, grazing on the berries there. And people were gathering around him and encouraging their little children to get closer to see the bear, which kind of scared me. And now here are a few other places that are a little more difficult to find around here. Well, huckleberries aren't that hard to find. These are called Deadwood Lakes. And this is on the way to Shriner Peak. This is a little tiny lake off the loop at the end of the Sunrise Road. So where you come around the big corner on the Sunrise Road, you can hike out to the lakes whose name I can't remember right now, but this is another lake. And this is a little lake that's hanging up there between Unicorn and Pinnacle. And this is Sanctuary Arch, which is out in the National Forest here below us. And this is Wallop Creek Falls. Again, not easy to get to, no trail. So that is the end of my presentation. Are there questions?
Diane? What kind of camera are you using out here?
A little point and shoot.
Really?
Anybody else? Okay, so there's paperwork that goes with this if you want it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, I sat there and listened to all the presentations tonight, and I wanted just to stop for a second. And we're so glad that so many of you came out today. Understand that wellness is something that you choose in many ways. You know, John talked about it before when he showed the graphic on how many people die and what they die of, and the vast majority of people, hands down, die of chronic diseases. And yes, we see accidents and they're there, but so much of what we deal with, we can avoid a significant part of just by choosing a lifestyle. And did you know that getting out in nature for a short period of time, up to an hour or so, increases your immune system for up to 7 days? And so when we see these hikes, and one of the things he talked about, I've always been very interested in Blue Zone since it came out. They talked about moving naturally and getting out, and you realize that just by doing simple things every day and avoiding some of those other things, you can live a much more quality life. And I'm so glad we ended with these, because it was such a beautiful way to finish and to see these beautiful pictures and realize that it's so much easier for those of us that live here in the Northwest to get out and move naturally, because there's so many places to go. I've been in the Northwest for 30-some years, and I left for a while, and what I missed the most was being able to get out in nature, because it's something that we can do. And one of the things we've encouraged people to do this week with our Wellness Week, and you're going to see some of this around, Monday we had Get Moving Monday, and you guys missed it maybe, but you know what, we'll take it, because we're having a photo contest. We encourage people on Monday to get out and take a picture of yourself doing something that was active, whether it was mowing the lawn or going for a hike or doing something other than sitting around on your couch or watching television. Tuesday was Tech-Free Tuesday, right? Thursday, I'm sorry, Tech-Free Tuesday, that's tomorrow. You guys still have a chance, that's right. Yesterday we were at the gun club. Today we are here for Arbor Talks. Tomorrow you have 2 more days. So Tech-Free Thursday. So I know, you might need your phone to take a picture, because none of us have cameras anymore. We just take pictures with our phones. So take the picture with your phone of doing something that doesn't include technology. Put the technology away and just enjoy the day. Maybe it's having a conversation with someone that you might not otherwise do. Talk about walking. Or just being active, but unplug. And then Friday is Healthy Food Friday. So you can't go, I can't hardly go to a restaurant. We try to eat fairly healthy, and we look for healthy restaurants wherever we go. And I have to remind myself to not take the first bite until my wife takes the picture. And she's going to text it to her friends who like to eat. So we want you to do the same. So take a picture. I don't care if you're cooking your meal or take a picture of your meal. And what you do with those pictures is I want you to send them in to us. You can do it through our Facebook page. Diane, is there another way you can upload it through our website? You can email it to us as well. If you aren't sure how to do it, just go to our website, and Diane controls a lot of that, so it's going to get to her. Just send us your pictures, and we're going to have a photo contest. And then we're going to post the winners and let them know, because our whole goal is to help encourage people to get moving, to make healthy choices. And it doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be huge. You just need to start. And I think that's the part that's really, really important for you all to remember. It's the little things we do every single day that make the difference. And so I want to encourage you. Thank you to all the speakers. Let's give them a round of applause one more time. And I'm really excited that we had a wonderful turnout. So thank you for taking part of your week, your evening to come out and share this with you. And look forward to our next year. And we'll hopefully have some more interesting and exciting topics for you. So thank you very much, and have a great evening.